All right, gentlemen, welcome in.
Don't assume my gender. How dare you?
I know what your gender is.
How dare you?
So you say.
Yeah.
Bigot.
So you say.
So
Now
Reptile.
you're not single anymore.
I did watch that movie, Reptile, by the way.
Hey,
I did
you
watch
told me
that.
you were going to tell me how it was.
I liked it. I enjoyed
good?
it. Reptile.
It's like 2.5 hours long. It's good.
It is pretty long. Benicio del Toro.
You know what movie I watched last night after the game? I couldn't sleep. The Adjustment Bureau.
Solid movie.
Haven't seen that movie in a while.
Matt Damon.
And Matt Damon's a great actor.
He really is.
Yeah.
Jason Bourne.
All 9 of them. Just
Still
the
haven't-
same movie.
still
over
haven't
and over
caught
again.
him.
Still haven't caught him. So it's like you say on the Fast and the Furious. Like, when are they going to arrest these guys?
Who left the fridge open?
I don't got friends. I just relate with criminals outside. So
Yeah, I just know all the criminals, and we just never get caught. Like, good, somebody catch them. Goodness gracious. Georgia's All-American tight end Brock Bowers could miss the rest of the season with an injury. The Cowboys hold on to beat the Chargers in L.A. last night, and we preview this weekend's matchups, including Alabama, Tennessee, and much, much more. I'm Jay Crane. It's Tuesday. Let's get to midfield. Welcome to Crane & Company. Now, I have a ton of respect for the Tennessee football program, for Josh Heupel. I mean, hell, it's the state I live in right now, so I'm going to show love. And there's going to be a lot of buzz about the third Saturday in October, the matchup between Alabama and Tennessee this weekend. But let's be honest, just for a second. We all know how this game's going to go. Yes, Tennessee did beat Alabama in a wild one last year in Neyland, but this isn't last year's Tennessee team. And while it's not 2022 Bama offensively, this Crimson Tide team isn't going to let Tennessee get past 20 points defensively. So let's go ahead and look into the future, and let me tell you what's going to happen. Now, I expect the Vols to hold their water early on, especially on defense. These are two pretty good defensive teams. Maybe get a couple of stops, and the Vols are going to try and run the ball consistently. That's who they are. And they're probably going to have some success, especially running that style of system. But Joe Milton, once again, won't be able to convert the third and medium throws at an efficient enough pace to get the ball in the end zone consistently. So don't be shocked if Tennessee may take an early field goal lead or get an early field goal to fall through to answer a Bama score. But Milroe and the Alabama offense, like they've been all year, they'll be hit or miss because that's who they are. I expect a couple of long third down conversions, maybe after a penalty, maybe after a sack, but eventually Jalen Milroe will hit a deep ball, and the Tide will win the field position battle enough, get a first half turnover, and I expect the halftime score to be somewhere around 17-6, maybe 17-9. Now, Tennessee will show a little life early in the second half, but a combination of missed throws to open receivers, especially on third down, and then getting stuffed on a fourth and short or two will lead to Bama extending the lead for good. Now, Tennessee will end up having to try and throw the ball to get back in the game, which is not their recipe for success. And Bama will hold on and cruise to win this one, let's say 34-16, somewhere around there. Now, it's college football, and I guess anything could happen. We see it every weekend. But in no way, shape, or form, outside of Bama playing absolutely terrible, does Tennessee win this game. And I'm sorry, Vol fans, all right? Like we say on the show all the time, if we want to make everybody happy, like, oh, we'll sell ice cream for a living, but we don't. We got to call it like we see it. And that's fine. Put me in the hype video for Tennessee, get everybody excited like Washington did, but it's not going to save you this weekend.
You're already in the hype video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. It's great. Hype it up. I'll walk a flock of this whole thing.
Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel. There you go. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback. My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. And I'm not saying don't watch the game, right? And I'm not saying if Alabama does play terrible, Tennessee could win. But I see a very narrow path. I believe, and I want to give a shout out to Blaine Gilmer, my buddy for this stat. Not you.
Dang it.
Tennessee last year to this point had somewhere around like 55 explosive plays through the pass. I think so far this year they're at like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And again, that's
sense.
not saying you have to be the Globetrotters on offense, but when you look at the numbers, this Tennessee offense, while they are 22nd in points per game, right? They are not nearly hitting big plays at the clip they did last year. They are top 10 in rushing. This is who they are. They got 3 backs that can run it. We know Joe Milton can hold on the RPO, but through the air, this team does not threaten you, especially a defense like Alabama, enough to be able to score enough points to win this game on the road.
Man, it's hard to push back on anything you're saying. Now, initially, when I saw the spread of -9 Alabama, it struck me as a little high. I was thinking maybe 7 would be the largest that we'd see it open at. But then I started doing some math, and I'm right here with you, even though I don't think Alabama will score as much as you have. I have it more of a 27-17 right now. And then even if another field goal hits, let's say it's a 27-20 game or 30-17, the under is still a good play at 47.5 right now. I think both quarterbacks are going to make a play that just drops your jaw. They do this every week, right? It's just an incredible play, maybe even a couple of them. And then outside of that, I think both offenses and both quarterbacks will struggle at times. We saw in the second half with Alabama against Arkansas, 3 3-and-outs in a row, let KJ Jefferson really come back and climb back in that ball game. But I think Alabama has too many pieces around them. Now, what could make it interesting is Tennessee did rush for 232 against Texas A&M. That front seven is really strong against the run. So let's just play this out and say Tennessee can have similar success on the ground, maybe not quite 232 yards of rushing, but they find some success on the ground the way they did against Texas A&M. Then they still need Joe Milton to not turn the football over, hit a couple of those big plays either with his feet or with his arm. And then I think also on the other side of that, force Jalen Milroe into a couple turnovers, maybe 2 interceptions, a pick and a fumble, something like that, and have them stall out. And then maybe Tennessee could find themselves in the game.
Yeah, and Blaine, we've talked about Joe Milton a ton. We don't hate Joe Milton here. We just don't think he is this elite quarterback, and he's proven to not be, that a lot of people built him up during the offseason. A little caveat here I want to mention to people. Alabama's really struggled with penalties, right? Mm-hmm. They're like 108th in the country offensively in penalties per game. They're like 90... something in 98th, I think.
Even at home.
Even at home. Tennessee's not far behind them. Mm-hmm. Offensively, Tennessee ranks 113th in the country in penalties per game on offense. Not good enough to be able to get behind the chains and move the ball with this offense. Last year, with Hendon, I'm the most dangerous hooker in it since Eileen Warnos. You could get away with it, but not this year. Defensively, Tennessee is 93rd. Blaine, I'm not saying the game won't be close for a while, but it seems like this Alabama team eventually, especially at home. Now, I know against Texas was different, but Quinn Ewers and that wide receiver core isn't showing up in this game. I just don't feel that over a 4-quarter period, Tennessee's offense can put the ball in the end zone. I think they get 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. That's how I got it.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. I just don't know which Alabama team's going to show up in this football game. I mean, you go back to the first half of Arkansas. Yeah, they look phenomenal. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jalen Milroe, walking to almost halfway through the fourth, had 4 passing yards in the second half against Arkansas. Just because you're not a good quarterback doesn't mean we don't like you, right? Yeah. I haven't believed in Joe Milton since he was at Michigan. I still don't believe in
Not everybody can be elite.
Yeah, I still don't believe in Joe Milton right now. I think the backup's probably better than him, to be honest. I mean, you go back to last year, you got to remember Joe Milton started over Hendon Hooker, and Hendon Hooker came in and took that job. So I don't see this many points in this football game. I really don't. I think both these defenses are going to be solid. I think Bama's stiff against the run. I don't think Tennessee's going to have a lot of success against the run, even what they did to Texas in the front 7, which is good, but their back end's so bad. I think it kind of caveats itself. Which quarterback makes the least mistakes in this game? That's what I think it is. If Jalen Milroe comes out and he can go through one progression, if it's Burton or if it's Bond and he can find his guy early, they're going to be fine. If you're Tennessee, you want Jalen to go through his progressions and see if he can make a mistake. I think Bama is going to get to Joe. I think Bama's going to get to Joe Milton early. That's the difference, I think, in this game. I think Joe Milton's going to struggle in this game. I think Bama's going to win, but I think it'll be maybe a 24-10, 24-13 game. I like Bama to cover. Barely. I just think Bama's a better overall roster than what Tennessee has. But I wouldn't be surprised that sooner or later, Josh, you got to know that you got to get going on offense. And if Joe can't get it done, you got to pull him.
Well, do you trust putting in a freshman quarterback on the road in Bryant Denny, to be able to lead a comeback throwing the ball? Because it's not just, and I want to make sure, the reason that Tennessee's offense is not hitting the same amount of home runs through the passing game as they did last year isn't just because of Joe Milton. Mm-hmm. You lost some really good talent out wide, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman. I can go down this. Brew McCoy's been hurt. I like Squirrel White. They've got some good players, but this is a totally different type of Tennessee offense, the way they can affect you. Josh Heupel has always wanted to run to pass, right? This is a run to pass system, even with the numbers they put up through the air last year. But this year, they're even heavier run to pass because that's how they hit explosive plays is through the run. That's how they hurt you the most. And I always say versatility is the best utility out there. But in this game against Alabama, eventually, because you say which Alabama team's going to show up, I think we kind of know who Alabama is right now. They're not great running the ball. They're hit or miss running the ball. They're hit or miss overall as an offense. But at some point, there's 3 or 4 times a game where they crack through on the deep ball. We've just seen it. We saw it against Texas, right? In every big game that they've played, we've seen it. We saw it against Texas. We saw it a little bit against Arkansas in the first half. The question is, if Bama scores enough points, if they get to the threshold of 21 to 24, let's just leave it at that. Let's not even bring it to 27. I think they're going to score a touchdown on defense. I think Caleb Downs has a pick 6 at safety. But if Alabama scores 24 points, can Tennessee, against the most elite side of the ball that Alabama has, which is defensively, score points, score enough points to be able to get back in it?
Yeah, and one thing about playing Nico, the true freshman, Blaine, I know you've been talking about this for a long time. Just keep in mind, UCLA is running this experiment out right now, too, with Dante Moore, their 5-star true freshman. And he's costing them some football games. Now, in both those scenarios, with Dante Moore at UCLA and I believe with Nico at Tennessee, that's the future of your program, right, in both cases. But despite Joe Milton's struggles through a lot of this season, Tennessee sits here at 5-1. I mean, the Florida loss we can look at as a bad loss, but
not
still,
a bad team.
On the
not
road,
a bad
in the
team.
swamp. 5-1. You got a chance to go in and shock the world and beat Alabama. And keep in mind, Georgia's still on the schedule. You're still very much in the hunt to win your division. And if you win your division, you find yourself in Atlanta. Anything can happen in the conference championship.
That's true. And we're going to get to Georgia with Brock Bowers. It just became much more interesting in the SEC East, and we're going to get to that. We want to know what you think. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Going to get to the Booster Club chat. We got live calls. We're going to take it 8:15 a.m. Eastern, so here in about 33 minutes, the line's going to open up. Going to try and get through those, going to try and roll through. We've had a ton of people that want to call in and talk. We want to make sure everybody gets their time. But it's always time to take care of your skin, and our friends over at Genucel, they've got you covered. They run a great offense, great defense, great special teams. It's a complete, balanced team. We use it. Our wives use it. The Booster Club sold them out last time. It's a skincare product for men and women. They have an incredible dark spot corrector. Whether you have skin discoloration, you have dry skin, they help the blemishes disappear. It is a proven product. Also, they're so confident in it that you can try it yourself completely risk-free. And if you don't see immediate results, you'll get your money back. That is a guarantee that you just don't see in today's world. And again, like I said, we've used it before. And it's very simple. You go to genucel.com/booster. That's GENUCEL.com/booster. Start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow. Say hello to the best skin you've ever had at genucel.com/booster. GENUCEL.com/booster. All right, I want to get to the Booster Club, but guys, we are putting, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the product that we put out, we'd love for you to buy some merch. We're going to put the link in the chat literally right now. That's the best way, one of the best ways outside of sharing the show like you guys have done, and we're really, really appreciative. We want to take this thing all the way to the top. One of the ways to do that is for you guys to support and buy merch because we get some great ideas we want to put in to the shop once it gets sold out. We're going to show you those designs later on in the week. But let's go ahead and get to the Booster Club. Grab some.
All right, Leroy, let's start it off, Chad. He says, it looks like Bama and UT are super similar. I think home field advantage and a slightly better defense pushes Bama over the top.
Yep.
But there's always a chance. GBO.
Oh, there's always a chance. And listen, I'm not saying there's no way in hell that Tennessee wins this game. I specifically in the open said Alabama is going to have to help Tennessee to win this game. Last year, even on a neutral site, Tennessee was good enough, all right, especially offensively, to be able to play well and Alabama play well and beat Alabama, right? We saw that in Neyland. That was a crazy game that went back and forth. And I know it was at home. You can say they obviously had the advantage with it being Neyland Stadium. I get that. But that team was talented enough. I know that Bama isn't what they were offensively last year. And you can make the argument defensively without Will Anderson Jr. But I'm just telling you right now, I think Tennessee, the drop-off was stark enough compared to the drop-off from Alabama, where especially the game being played at Bryant-Denny, I don't think Tennessee, if Tennessee shows up and plays really well, and Alabama shows up and plays really well, I think Alabama wins this game. But again, can Tennessee, you almost, and this is what I said about Auburn going to LSU and Auburn playing Georgia at home. And Tennessee and Auburn are in two different spots. I'm not saying they're the same team, but it's a similar circumstance. You almost have to pitch a perfect game, like to be able to win this one as coaches and players. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. I don't trust Joe Milton on 3rd and 7. I just don't. Even if a guy's running open, I don't. You can't overthrow guys that have 2 steps in this game versus Bama. You have to hit almost every shot against this defense because you only get a couple, right? What did Mel Gibson say in The Patriot? Aim small, miss small. When you get your opportunity, you got to take advantage, and I just don't think Tennessee at the quarterback position can take advantage of every opportunity that Bama gets.
Especially late in the game, which I guess that's another interesting thing. What if Tennessee does find themselves up 10-0? Say something like that. Is this Alabama team? We wouldn't have questioned it when Bryce Young was on the team. Okay, let Alabama settle in. He'll come back. Mm-hmm. But, if Tennessee does maybe hit 1 or 2 of those shots early, finds themselves up 10-0, can Jalen Milroe lead Alabama back from behind?
I think there's a better chance of Jalen Milroe leading Alabama back from behind than if Tennessee gets behind and has to start throwing it.
I think you're right.
All right, let's go to Voltar.
Not by a lot, though. Not by a lot.
Let's go to Voltar. He says, thank you, Jake, for giving Bama the opening monologue curse. Oh, no.
Well, what
is
is
this a thing now? This a thing now? It's
you mean like
chat.
when I said Notre Dame? When I picked Notre Dame to
I wouldn't that's not a nail I'd hang your hat on.
Yeah. Nah, I wouldn't I wouldn't play that game.
Let's go to Chris Walt with the $5 donation. Appreciate it, Chris. There's a difference between UGA and others, OSU and Alabama. We're not going to blame a loss on losing Bowers or claiming rebuild. Next man up. Hashtag hunker down.
Yeah, I mean, you can, I love that approach, right? You want to be confident, but, Brock Bowers is 100% a next man. You have to obviously be, cognizant of how talented that player is. I mean, just go back to the Auburn game. You don't have Brock Bowers, you're probably not staring at a perfect record right now. Not that he's the whole team, but he's a big chunk of the team, not only catching passes, but blocking as well in line. And even if he's a little banged up, he's a hell of a decoy. So you're losing kind of a triple threat.
Let's go to Zugetsu. I feel like I got that right. It says Alabama wins by 24. Matchup sucks for Tennessee. Balls can't make explosive plays. And Alabama is better than the passing game than they get credit for.
Does this feel a little bit like, speaking of opening monologues, like you want to talk about the monologue curse, how about saying Georgia's going to murder Kentucky when half the other people were picking Kentucky? So this isn't a Drake situation. When I look at this matchup, there are some similarities, I think, between Kentucky going to play Georgia. I mean, it's Kentucky's strength was going up against Georgia's strength defensively. Not saying just the rushing game, but Kentucky's quarterback wasn't running, and that's what was hurting Georgia. So Alabama is really not vulnerable against anything defensively, in my opinion. But if you're going to beat Alabama, especially on the road, you better be able to throw the ball. You better be able to stretch the defense. You better be able to spread them out even. Tennessee is a stop the run defensive team. Alabama offensively can't run it really. Haven't shown you the ability to run it. Hell, they couldn't run it versus USF. I don't think they're going to be able to line up and just run through Tennessee. But you know what they can do? Jalen Milroe throw that deep ball. Eventually, they're going to listen to Cone and run a couple quarterback design runs, or he's going to start taking off after that first read and get those 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 7s. He can't just hang in the pocket and act like he's Dan Marino and Drew Brees. That's not his game yet. I think that's what has kind of limited his explosiveness running, right, is that he's hanging around in the pocket. Pocket condenses, you lose time to escape. It's a panic room situation. You only have so much time before you can get out of there.
All right, let's go to John Edward Kluge, the man who's always pissed. He says, no excuses. Tennessee, I don't care who you lost to the NFL. He's talking about Cedric Tillman. He's talking about Jalen Hyatt.
Well, I mean, again, it's not an excuse. It's just saying you don't have as good at players as what you had last year. I mean, that happens when you lose. I mean, look at TCU. It's a great example. I mean, hell, they're basically the Chargers now. You lost everybody. All right, one more.
Let's go to Broken Devil Dog. He says you guys were getting so much hate in the preseason for trying to claim the unrealistic value that people were putting on Joe Milton. You guys have been right every step of the way.
Yeah, and again, you're in this business, you're going to be right some, you're going to be wrong some. It's like I was right about Notre Dame, and all of a sudden I'm in the Washington hype video. but before picking Oregon to win. That's part of it in this process. But you call it like you believe it. Like it's like the hype trains that get built up for everybody. Oh, Joe Milton hit a golf cart at the Manning Passing Academy from 90 yards. That's great, but that's not football. If that was the case, then everybody on the long drive contest would be on the PGA Tour, right? Everybody that could throw a fastball past 95 would be in the major leagues. That's not what playing quarterback is. That's not what playing golf is. That's not what pitching is. Like it just, again, it's something where until you show me that you have nuance, I'm not going to believe that you can play at this elite level. Not that you can't be good, David. Not that you can't be a average starting quarterback in the SEC, but SEC Player of the Year. We have people talking about Heisman. Like, what did Joe Milton show you in a full body of work? It's not like Jalen Milroe we saw play against Arkansas last year, and a little bit against A&M or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, well, we really don't know. You saw Joe Milton. You could see the storyline, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. What did you think was going to be different about Chapter 4?
And it's not like he just came on the scene.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah.
We know who Joe Milton is. Yeah. I mean, he's bounced from one team to another, started, then got replaced. So we know who Joe Milton is.
And they're still 5-1. So congrats.
That's
the good news.
That's a high-class problem.
That's the good news for Tennessee.
That's a high-class problem. It definitely is. All right, we're going to get back to the booster chat. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. We're going to get to donations, too, at the end. If they're not pertaining to the topic we're on, we're going to get to them, I promise. But, David, let's get into some rapid fire.
All right, boys. Georgia All-American tight end Brock Bowers. He suffered a high ankle sprain this past Saturday against Vanderbilt. Reports are that he did have surgery or was scheduled to have surgery yesterday. The tightrope surgery involved using that surgical thread instead of the metal skew.
That's what Tua had, right?
Tua had this surgery. Even 2 other Georgia Bulldogs have had this surgery. Reports are he could be out 4 to 6 weeks. We're already halfway through the season. Your thoughts?
Blake, can you pull up the Georgia schedule?
I already got it up.
Oh, God, I tell you what.
You got Florida this week. Or the bye.
Your bye this week.
Bye this week. You got Florida next week at home. You got Missouri at home.
You got Florida in the swamp or this in Georgia?
No. It's the neutral site.
Neutral site.
The cocktail party. Then you have Mizzou at home. Okay. You have Ole Miss at home. Okay. You go to Tennessee. Ooh. You have Georgia Tech at home. On the road, excuse me.
Okay.
Run, Raggy.
First, I want to say this, and you see people on social media that hide behind keyboards and say things about injuries, and those people, they're not worth the time. I don't care if you love Georgia, I don't care if you hate Georgia. This is it's a shame for college football.
Absolutely,
right? I love watching great players play. That's what makes the games fun. Obviously, I want my team to win. Right? But I've never been somebody that wanted to win because of injuries. I wanted to win when you were at full strength and we were at full strength. Rule 76, no excuses, play like a champion. But this is just a shame because Brock Bowers, you don't see a lot of guys, or really many that I can remember in modern time, that can do what Brock can. Mm-hmm. And how important he was to that team, not only from what he can do on the field, blocking included, catching the ball included, being a decoy included, but his leadership as well. We talked to him at SEC Media Days. The guy's about business. Like, Brock Bowers isn't coming in there messing around. He's not trying to cause problems. He's about business. But when you look at this Georgia team, we can't sit here and pretend like this isn't a massive blow.
Oh, yeah.
To a team that is not as elite, in my opinion. Yet, I think they're still developing. I think they could peak at the right time at the end of the year. But now with this injury, and David, I want to start with you. If you're Carson Beck, that security blanket is gone.
Oh, yeah.
That, hey, we're down going in the second half. Well, we have Brock Bowers, whether that's at home or whether that's on the road, and they're fortunate they play most of these games at home. Mm-hmm. I know they got to go on the road to Tennessee. But now the question is, Ladd McConkey, right?
Yep.
Coming back healthy. You got to be the rock of Gibraltar. Mm-hmm. Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas. Rosamie Jack Saint's been good. I know you got Oscar Delp. You got some young talent tight end. But those two guys got to step their ass up now. Mm-hmm. Like Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas, they brought y'all over. All we heard about, all offseason, all Georgia fans, the only knock on Georgia was, oh, you don't have elite receivers. Oh, you don't have elite receivers. Like that's a knock when you win back-to-back natties. People got to find something to complain about. But Georgia's answer to that was, you know what? we're going to bring over 2 proven commodities. Not only 2 proven commodities in college football, but 2 proven commodities at the wide receiver position in the SEC. One from Mississippi State and Ra Thomas, and the other one from Missouri and Dominic Lovett. And I know we saw a little glimpse of them stepping up, but at some point, y'all got to answer the bell. And now that Brock's out, the time is here. Because the Georgia run game's not going to be elite, but they're going to be able to pass protect their ass off because that's who they are. Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas, this team now is going to finish how y'all finish.
That's the biggest difference to me with this Georgia team is that run game's not elite. And when they found themselves in a dogfight on the road in Jordan-Hare against Auburn, who did they turn to? Brock Bowers. I think he had over 130 yards receiving in the second half of that game, the game-winning touchdown. Obviously, this is a massive blow. I think he's the best tight end I've seen play the game coming out of college. And it speaks volumes to him as someone who could just go ahead and be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft and a 2-time national champion, that he's even fighting trying to come back from this injury, which, look, let's see. The timeline's kind of, it could work out to where he still plays for Georgia again, but certainly not against teams like Florida and Missouri and Ole Miss and Tennessee, the teams you were talking about down the stretch. Georgia's going to be favored in all those games, but it gets a lot more interesting. I mean, Missouri's a good football team. Ole Miss has shown you what they can do on offense.
Hey, Florida ain't a walk in the park either.
And that's a rivalry game. So for Georgia fans, the good news is, to me, though, what I saw this past weekend at Vanderbilt was Ladd McConkey is healthy.
Yeah.
Like, Ladd McConkey is healthy. That's the guy I think they're going to get the football to.
I just don't know if you're Georgia how much you can lean on that defense this year. Like, I really don't. This is not the same defense we've seen from Georgia in the past. You go back and watch that Vandy game. And Georgia's kind of been a team this year that they played down to competition. I think they're 1-5 on covering this.
They're a developing nation.
So like it's really weird. It's really weird to see a Kirby Smart team play down to competition, but they also play up to competition. You saw what they did to Kentucky. So I feel like Georgia, when it really matters, you can trust Georgia. But if you're Mike Bobo, like, you got to open it up. You have to open up this offense. There's no more hiding behind. Let me lean on the defense a little bit. We're going to play a game of how many times can I throw it to Brock Bowers. Trust me, that's the game I would play too. But Graham Mertz is looking nice. I mean, Florida's playing really good. You think Billy Napier wants this one? This could be huge for Billy. I mean, you got Tennessee on the road. Missouri, not a walk in the park either. So, like, if you're Georgia, I don't know. Like, I don't know. You can drop one, obviously, which I think they might. But I'm interested to see how Carson Beck's going to play, because you have to open up this offense, and who's going to be – we know who Ladd is, all right? Ladd's going to be their number 1 guy now, obviously. But who's going to be the number 2 guy? That's the question for Georgia, because you don't – I mean, your running backs aren't elite. You're banged up at the running back position. Who is going to be your number 2 guy? And if it's me, I am leaning on Ra Thomas. I think Ra Thomas has the skill, the athletic ability. I think he needs to grow, get better and versatile in his routes. But I don't know. I think Georgia, if it's me, man, I'm worried.
Let's go to the NFL. Dallas Cowboys beat the Chargers last night, 2017, sort of back and forth there late. Dak delivered, came back strong, game-winning field goal there. I don't know how much longer we're going to keep watching this Chargers team with all these elite talent at key positions just not deliver.
Well, you know, and the Cowboys, we know defensively with Micah Parsons and the way they can get after the passer. And I mean, hell, the Chargers too. I mean, you got Bosa, you got Khalil Mack, who's kind of looking like his old self. I'll say it's that the Cowboys needed that one. It's a nice bounce back win for them. And yeah, it's, you know, like we were talking before the show, how many times did Justin Herbert overthrow Keenan Allen? When he's wide open. But and y'all know me, I love football, and I don't care if it's going to a middle school game. But these Monday night games have
trash,
awful. Like, it's almost like if you don't love football to its core, it's almost a hard watch in the NFL. Like in the NFL, you know, we've had some highs and lows this year, but the NFL's just been, I don't know, just hadn't been super exciting this year, in my opinion. And I'm not one of these guys that wants to turn on and see every game as 40-37. And I realize that the margin of the best team and the worst team in the NFL is a lot tighter than it is in college football. But I just don't know how you can watch both of them and not say, well, that college football is better, just a more fun watch. It's a better product than the NFL. And you have people that are straight NFL fans, and they'll be like, oh, you're wrong, and that's fine. We're all entitled. And I love football in general. I love watching NFL. I love watching college football. But I just don't know how you can look at both those products and be like, oh, the NFL is more entertaining. It's just not to me.
Oh, it's just the battle of the mid yesterday. That's what it was. Just a sloppy football game. Like, I mean, you have 11 penalties for the Cowboys, 10 penalties for the Chargers. Both teams couldn't figure it out in the red zone. This is the first time ever in my life I've seen someone get stopped on a 4th and 1 with the bush push or the tush push. I guess the Eagles.
Please, just call it a quarterback sneak.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess the Eagles are the only team that can really do it. But I don't believe in either of these teams. I still think Dak is who we think Dak is.
Yep.
I think Justin Herbert. I mean, he shows times he can be elite quarterback.
He's also running for his life last
True, but he also missed some wide open.
I agree with that.
Some wide open throws that Justin usually doesn't miss. So Cowboys are sitting at 4-2, Chargers are 2-3. I think Mike McCarthy is not the guy for the Cowboys from a play calling standpoint. And I don't know how Kellen Moore shovel-faced how long he's going to last at the Chargers.
And who is the guy for the Cowboys? At some point, someone has to be the guy, right?
I mean, it's not like you don't have talent.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's weird to say this is a battle of the mids. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you when you say that, but it's like, man, before the season started, this could have been a realistic Super Bowl matchup.
Let me ask you this.
Possibly.
If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you've done this NFL rope-de-dope, bring in, recycle NFL coaches, bring in other NFL coaches. When you go get Lincoln Riley, because the last time you went and got a coach out of college.
Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go get Lincoln Riley, I think, would Lincoln Riley leave USC to go to the Cowboys?
I think he's going to coach in the NFL at some point.
Then why would it not be
I just
the
don't know
Cowboys?
what the window is going to be. He's getting paid a lot of money.
He is, but Jerry Jones got a lot of money too.
Yeah,
You
he
think that
does.
plane's big?
I think he's going to coach in the NFL.
He'll
at
get
some
you the
point.
Soul plane. That thing will be on hydros pulling up
Yeah.
in the.
Well, or stay there in LA and coach the Chargers. Like, that's what I'm saying when it comes to Brandon Staley is like, we saw the blown lead in the playoff game last year. You have elite players at the most crucial positions. It's hard to get a generational franchise quarterback. You've gone from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert. You have that shored up. I mean, Austin Eckler's one of the best football players I've ever seen. I can't imagine what it was like to be on the same team with him and watch him in person, Blaine. You have a Bosa brother and Khalil Mack on the defensive line. Derwin James, one of the best defensive backs I've seen in the last decade or two.
Oh,
you have all the pieces you need.
Derwin James is going for your neck.
Derwin James is, he's like Ronnie Lott out there for our generation.
He
You need to be better if you're the Chargers. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry about it.
Yeah.
And it's play calling. That's what it is. It looks like play calling when I watch it, right? The same thing with the Cowboys. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Cowboys are running the ball on first down.
Yeah.
90% of the time, the Cowboys are running the ball on the first down. I don't think Austin Eckler got the ball enough. Like, it's his first game back, and he only has 30 yards on the ground. Like, it gets to the point where, like, you have to know who your personnel is, and you have to know what you need, what you're good at. Like, Cowboys, you're not good at running the football. You're just
Weird
not.
to say.
Which is weird to say, but you're just not good at it. So what can you do as an offensive coordinator? Let's work backwards a little bit, right? Maybe let's not try to get north and south so much, and let's get east and west. Like Mike McCarthy, they went through the stats. It's almost identical. A little worse than Kellen Moore when he was at the Cowboys.
They actually had a good plan for Micah Parsons last night with the chipping. They were
everyone's
like
seen
triple team at some point.
The one time they soloed him was in the last drive.
Yeah.
And he got a sack.
He got a sack.
Well, I just love how the quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage and he looks where Micah Parsons is. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna run it the other way."
Yeah.
Like like look where he's like. It's not even like who the mic is. It's not identifying the mic. It's identifying the Micah. They're like, whatever side, if he is shaded half an inch to one side or the other, we are doing the exact opposite to the other side.
Sometimes
it's like
football
seeing
is
Jason,
that simple.
Yeah, it's like seeing Jason on Halloween. You see him, you run the other way. You just run the other way. Unless you're Jamie Lee Curtis and somehow you're going to fight him.
Sometimes the game is
we
that
totally
simple.
believe that.
Yeah.
My high school coach said, "Can you count to 4?"
Yeah,
I
to
said,
go back to when, I can't remember what game it was this year, but when Myles Garrett was playing, literally the tie, like two tight ends would follow Myles Garrett. Whichever line and I remember Myles Garrett would run back and forth.
They got to delay a game.
One play and got to delay a game.
All right, Major League Baseball here. Rangers go up 2-0 over the Astros.
You got to get some Creed on the sound.
In the Battle of Texas, we do need to get some Creed. Maybe we can put the Creed over top of the Braves chop on button.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
I'm fine
I'm
with
all
that.
for that.
That sound can just
100%.
go now.
What else can I say? Other than, I'm going to be honest, it does bring me a little bit of personal joy watching the Astros.
Oh.
Especially the Rangers.
I won't let you.
Well,
To the Rangers.
It's 2-0.
Still a long way
Is
to
this
go.
just setting up for heartbreak?
For sure. For sure. The Rangers haven't
my new
lost a
team.
postseason game yet. 7-0?
Yeah. My new adopted team. I love it.
Look at you. It's all because of you.
It must be.
That
It is.
and
Good
then the
life.
Phillies.
Keep it coming.
And
Keep
Nick
it coming.
Braves
Castellanos.
fan, Dodgers
Castellanos,
fan, Michigan
Harper.
fan,
Nick
Bama
Castellanos just continues to have his personal
No,
bomb.
when something's going bad in the world, Nick Castellanos is at his best. That's just the way it is. That's
Why
the way-
is that?
I don't know. I don't know, in the space-time continuum.
Has he hit a home run like every
I think so.
The one time I bet on Bryce Harper to hit a home run. He doesn't hit one, but every other game he just drops down.
He hit one last night.
Yeah.
his
Wheeler was
birthday,
dealing,
right?
man. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 Ks for Wheeler.
God, I wanted to bet Aaron Nola strikeouts.
Schwarber had a
5.5.
Schwarber had a home run.
Yeah.
A big baby.
Your boy.
He looks like a grown baby. Schwarber does. Doesn't he just look like one of the characters off Backyard Baseball? He just a grown.
He looks
Bam Bam
like
off Flintstones. Carrying that big bat around.
Game 2 of that series tonight, man. Aaron Nola, Merrill Kelly going up against each other.
Nola's out there playing ultimate frisbee, and
I mean, I might ladder it.
Baseball.
We might ladder it today.
I love it.
All right, let's get into our Utah and USC preview.
Yes, and we're
Utah
gonna get
goes
some best
on the
bets.
road to Southern Cal this week. Obviously, the big loss last weekend
Yeah.
against Notre Dame.
I like Southern Cal to bounce back in this one. This is one of the bets I like. They're at -6.5 right now. Not that I don't think Utah can slow them down a little bit defensively, and Utah's had their number, but I don't believe Cam Rising's coming back in this game. You saw Bryson Barnes play a majority of the game last week, for Utah at quarterback, so I'm expecting that again. Bryson went 15-21 for 128. We know who he is, right?
Yeah.
We saw him against Florida. I wonder how Utah's spirit is defensively. And this is, I'm not taking a shot at Kyle Whittingham, who I think is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Him, Jonathan Smith, and Jed Fish, they all happen to be in the same conference. But USC is going to score some points, right? Especially coming off of a performance by Caleb Williams that was subpar against Notre Dame's defense. And Utah will look to see what Notre Dame's defense did schematically and try and implement some of those things. But Lincoln and them have a great ability to be able to counter what just happened to them, those few games where the offense may not be operating at a tip-top level. I like USC big in this one.
Big.
Here's the question.
Wow.
Here's the question. USC defensively, stopping the run. If you shut down Utah's run, stopping Vaki, Jaquindon Jackson, he had 94 yards and a touchdown last week, but I mean, Vaki went off for $160 on 15 carries. Now, I know that's Cal, but let's not sit here and act like USC's defense is just miles better than what Cal's is. I'm not saying they're the same, but they're not way better. Can Utah limit possessions enough? Basically play a game of keep away. That's what Kyle Whittingham's going to do, because the formula is play a game of keep away offensively, run the ball, keep Caleb's ass and painted fingernails on the sidelines. 2, make a big play on special teams, which we've seen Utah be one of the best special teams units in the country since Whittingham's been there. And since Whittingham's been there. And when USC does get the possessions, is there a way where you can hold them to 3 and use the physicality edge that has lifted Utah up in that conference to be able to keep you in this game long enough? Because if you're Utah, all you can ask on the road without the Dark Knight Cam Rising is, can it be a 1-score game late? Can we give ourselves a chance to be in the game late? I'm just not seeing it, David.
Well, so you think USC big? That's what you got?
Well, I think USC by double digits.
Okay. Remember last year, USC's only regular season loss to Utah, and then they lost to Utah again in the conference championship. And we said, hey, look, that's what happens when you bring this level of physicality to a Lincoln Riley team, to Caleb Williams. This is what happens. Well, that theory got exacerbated last weekend when they go on the road and they play a Notre Dame team who we knew had the capability to be very physical, play tough defense, all that kind of stuff. You saw Caleb Williams with the 3 interceptions. What makes this more interesting now, though, is will Utah be able to score at will against USC's defense without Cam Rising in there? Because we've seen both the quarterbacks, Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes, both struggle in very different ways when they go in there.
Yeah,
right?
they struggle to do both.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen him have success too. I mean, Bryson Barnes, the over route he threw to start the season against Florida, one of the most beautiful balls you'll ever see. Like the kids, both those guys can play quarterback, right? Can you play consistently enough to beat a USC team that's coming off of a loss, who you know is going to be able to score some points at some point? I just don't see them playing as poorly against Utah as they did against Notre Dame. But at some point, is this, when USC faces a defense like this level of physicality, is this what we're going to see every time it happens?
Yeah, and I think it's, Blaine, I think it's a bad spot for Utah for a couple reasons. One, again, USC is coming off a loss in which they were dominated thoroughly in every single aspect of the game, defensively, offensively, and special teams. But that loss is not a conference loss. So everything USC has is still in front of them.
Absolutely.
You talk about narrowing your focus. Hey, guys, yeah, we lost a rivalry game at Notre Dame. Be pissed, be angry, be upset, but let's focus that on continuing to win conference games because they've got a gauntlet in the conference coming up. But I just don't know if Bryson Barnes can moxie and tough-ass his way to a win against this USC team.
I don't think so. And the thing with the USC, I mean, you hold the keys to your destiny at this point. I mean, you still got Washington, you still have Oregon, you still have UCLA. So, I mean, if you win out, I mean, you'll be fine. But let's go back. And I know Utah brings a level of physicality to the defense, but Caleb Williams still dropped a 40-piece on your head last year.
Yeah.
So USC's going to score. I mean, they're just going to score. I just don't think Utah will be able to score with USC. Look, I mean, you can shine the light in the sky for Cam, the Dark Knight Cam, to come back, but he's not coming back, and these quarterbacks have not proven they're good enough to roll with USC. And if you're a defense, you can only take so many body shots until you're in that late in the rounds in the fight to where, you just can't do anything else. USC is going to have – I mean, this game's sitting at 6.5 right now. I like USC.
I love USC.
I like USC to cover in this football game. This game is at USC.
Yes.
Correct. Coming off a loss.
And Utah's been your bugaboo.
Yeah.
Utah has been the fly in the ointment for USC. Yeah. This mentally is not shaping up to be a great spot for Utah.
And I just don't think, especially after a 3 interception game from Caleb Williams, I think Caleb Williams, it's time for him to come and show out.
Oh, if you're gonna have a chance to win back-to-back Heismans, which is gonna be tough now, you better absolutely electrify the atmosphere Saturday. So yeah, they're a 6.5-point favorite. Over/under is 56. Do you feel like I don't feel like this number is gonna go down? I don't feel like it's.
I feel like if you're going to hop on it, you need to hop on it now. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an 8.5-point spread before this game starts.
I would. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and lock in USC minus 6.5.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and do it. I want to get to our best bets. Let's get to the Booster Club chat real quick.
Okay.
Phone lines are about to open up.
Okay, let's go to Walton. He says, Barry Alexander said USC's practices are just as hard as UGA's. Come on, guys.
Well, I thought he said that USC's defense is just as physical as Georgia's. Now, how hard the practice is, I don't know. I haven't gone out there and seen a USC practice. I'm sure they practice hard. I'm sure Alex Grinch is trying to get everything out of them he can, which, isn't saying much when you look at the product that's on the field. But the level of physicality within the player grouping of the defense at USC is not anywhere near the level that it's been at Georgia. I don't think you have to be a football savant to be able to put those puzzle pieces together. But what is he going to say? What's Barry Alexander supposed to say? Yeah, no, we suck.
Yeah.
I love when people are like, oh, well, what a dumb thing to say. What are you supposed to say? Oh, yeah, no, we're soft. Georgia kill us.
They work way harder.
Yeah, they'd shove us in a locker the minute we walked in the high school.
All right, let's go to Luke D. What's up, Luke? He says, if you had to pick now, who's your current top 4 Heisman contenders going into Week 8?
I would say, obviously, Michael Penix.
Big Penix energy.
Big Penix energy at one.
See how you said that,
Stop.
Desmond?
Desmond,
Weirdo.
stop.
Yeah, that was weird.
The game day's trash. I used to love game day, too, man. It used to be one of my favorite things to watch. You still got... Look, man, Jaden Daniels got to be in there.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry,
at some point, here's what it's going to come down to. I'm going to keep Jaden Daniels in my top 4 right now because while I do think Bama can score a lot on the LSU defense, I think LSU can score against Bama. Jaden Daniels, if he's going to win the Heisman, you got to beat Bama, right? You got to. Because you don't beat Bama, you're not going to win the West.
I still think we're a week or two away from really making a Heisman list to me. Usually Halloween is when I'm like, okay, now I've seen enough because up to this point, a lot of teams, when it comes to Jaden Daniels, for instance, some of these teams, their guys are still in the Heisman race because they have to be because they're having to throw too much. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is a great example of this, right? There's no run game on that team. He's having to throw for 500 yards a game, and he has the ability to do so. So hanging around in some of those top metrics, but now we're getting into more of these separation Saturdays where you're getting some of these rivalry games playing tougher competition.
Do you have Jordan Travis in there?
In my top 5, he said 8. I would have him in an 8.
Going into Week 8.
Going into
Week 8, your top 4.
Bo Nix is
top 4, no.
Yeah. Look, you want to hear a crazy take? Go look at Graham Mertz's numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Go look at Graham Mertz's
It's
numbers.
just not going to happen.
I mean, why not? Go look at. I mean, he has just as good as numbers as anybody.
Well,
Jay Daniels has the best numbers in college football.
I'll tell you another argument. When you look at a team
Well,
like,
running numbers, Graham Mertz is even
when you
close.
look at like, say either like a Blake Corum or J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, these guys aren't even playing the last quarter and a half of football. I mean, they're doing what they're
Are
doing.
we sleeping
through
on J.J. McCarthy and Carson Beck? Like, if you look at Carson
For
Beck's
sure.
numbers, like, Carson Beck has really good.
His total yard, Carson Beck's in the top 5 or 6, I believe, in total passing yards.
Yeah, they just keep winning, and now you have it without Brock Bowers, so you have like that kind of adversity angle.
Yeah.
Just telling you, like these teams that keep on winning and keep kind
That's
of
the thing.
turning it out and playing consistent. I think Carson Beck, he's got 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. We know he's not great on the ground, but he's completing like 75% of his passes, something like that. I'm just telling you, just J.J. McCarthy too, a guy that can run it, just hanging out.
Yep.
Just hanging
That's what I'm
out.
saying. That's why I think we're a week or two away from
I
like,
agree with
really
that.
having a legitimate conversation.
I was going to chase. He said, "Did you see what Notre Dame the defense did to Caleb Williams? Can't Utah do the same?"
Well, yes, I watched what Notre Dame did to him, but here's the thing, like the book comes out on what to do. So it's like life. It's a game of adjustments, right? It's punch, counterpunch, counterpunch to the counterpunch, counterpunch to the counterpunch to the counterpunch. You adjust to what somebody shows you, then you adjust to it, right? So and I thought Notre Dame did a good job of mixing it up. It's never really just one thing that a team does. You know, again, we talk about how to attack Jaden Daniels and LSU. You got to throw the whole bag at them. You can't, do the same thing over and over again. You can't live in a world of just hoping to get a great outcome when you do the same thing over and over again. So when you look at what Notre Dame does, whether it's umbrella, whether it's bluffing pressure and bringing it, showing pressure and bluffing it, whatever, they're going to make adjustments to it. The question now is, how do you adjust off their adjustments? That's why we talk about game plans and all this stuff is great. But you want to know where the game is really won? It's won by in-game adjustments. Yep. Whether that's in the first half, whether it's at halftime, whether it's in the second half, because everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. You may think it's one thing and you show up and it's another thing. And even when you show up and it is what you thought, there are still adjustments you have to make because maybe you're not playing the way that you thought you were going to play. So it's yes, pregame, all that stuff's great. But how do you adjust in-game? That's the biggest question. And if you're having to adjust in-game in your coffee routine because it's not getting it done and you're not drinking Black Rifle, well, that's on you. All right? You're not making the pregame and in-game adjustments needed to make sure you're getting your morning, whenever you drink your coffee, started off right. To be honest with you, I say this every time. I don't think caffeine even does anything to me anymore. I think it's more of a placebo effect, but I love the great taste. And not only does black coffee have coffee you can brew, obviously, they have ready-to-drink cans. You have an up-tempo lifestyle, you need an up-tempo coffee. Their subscription gives you nothing but the best. You got a Coffee of the Month Club where you get premium roast from the best farms worldwide, and they just launched their Halloween pumpkin spice collection of greatness and deliciousness, which features the Headless Horseman's Roast, our cousin Ichabod Crane, and
Bam!
the ready-to-drink pumpkin spice espresso.
Pumpkin spice, y'all.
Best believe that. With pumpkin spice flavor so good, it'll haunt your taste buds for all eternity. If I'm going to get haunted, I would love to get haunted by a delicious, flavorful
Can we get some
espresso.
cans in here?
Yeah.
Gotta get some cans on set.
We do. We need some
really do.
ready-to-drink
Like, I'm a
cans.
can guy, especially in the morning.
You
So
are.
Like popping that top of that can, get some nice coffee.
You're a super duper can guy. So stop running out of coffee and sign up for a coffee club subscription. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER. It's kind of like got a Halloween vibe. Booster. I just thought of that. We need to figure something out with
Smart.
that. And you'll save 10% off at checkout on your order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for 10% off. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. All right, I'm going to get to these early bets, Coney, then we're going to get to calls. So I'll start with you, David. What is an early bet that you like? There may be a TikTok video coming later with some of your early bets, too.
Ooh. Should I take the Iowa, Minnesota under at
Yes,
32 and a
You've
half?
got to.
Please, God.
At this point, we've got to, right?
32 and a half, and I'm
No way.
seriously thinking about just punching this thing in and taking the under.
Why not? I'm going to have to. Like,
I'm gonna
at
have
this
to
point,
take
There's no way I'm
I
not.
have to.
The,
There's no
the
way.
question is, what would you take it down to? 27 and a
Well,
half?
here's what I think.
17 and a half.
Well,
Stop it.
I think here's the question. Is it going to go down anymore? Or do you wait and say 32 and a half? Because right now, the way it's sitting, the
Did it
over
start at
under
32?
is at
the
32.
first time I saw it was 32 and a half.
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm pulling up to the club with it right now. Yeah, it's at 32 and a half. Iowa's a 3.5 point favorite. Do you think it goes below 32 and a half?
I don't know.
What's the lowest?
I wouldn't be surprised.
What's the lowest over under?
Of all
The
time?
Army. No, there's one for. Hold on. There's one for. Yeah. Well, even Air Force, Navy, 2 triple option academy schools right now is 37.5.
Yeah, that's almost a touchdown more.
That's wild.
So like last week, it was at what? 36 and a half?
Mhm.
Iowa, Wisconsin. It ended up being what, like 13-0?
No, it
Or
was 17 to
17-6?
15-9 or something.
Something like that. I just don't know how you don't take this.
Yeah. I have mine tiered out for unders, overs, and spreads. The other under we talked about was Bama, Tennessee, under 47.5. Like, I like that number. It's a little tight, it's a little risky, but also UCLA, Stanford, under 55. Going back to the well there on UCLA, getting an under, let me down last week, but 55 seems like a lot of points there for that game.
Yeah, one that I'm looking at right now, and I'm going back and forth, and I think I'm going to take this side, is Penn State, Ohio State. Ohio State, and this is on DraftKings. Ohio State right now, as we speak this morning, is a 4-point favorite. The over-under is 47. At first, when I saw this, I wanted to jump on the under at 47 because of Penn State, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow. They struggle with explosive plays offensively, in my opinion, and they have not played a defense like they're about to play at Ohio State on the road. I mean, Ohio State, to me, is a defensive team that the offense is figuring it out, even with the weapons they have on the outside. So the lack of explosive plays consistently by Penn State, not that they don't have any good players. I like Drew Aller. I like their run game. I just don't think, like, if they're going to score against Ohio State, it's going to have to be 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives. And on the road, whether it's penalties, you got a new quarterback that you're breaking in who hasn't played in this type of environment before. I was leaning under. But why would I not do one of two things? Why would I not say, I'll let the over-under marinate for a little bit. Yeah. Maybe it'll go up to 48.5. And maybe people will really start falling in love with this Penn State team, which we saw a lot in the preseason, and that Ohio State line may come down to 3.5, and then I buy it down to 2.5. You see what I'm saying? But the more I sit here and think about it, I'm just like, I still like Ohio State -4. But like, do we think this is going up? Like, I feel like
I think Penn State's fraudulent.
You think?
I really do. I think Ohio State.
Take.
I think Ohio State might walk these kids.
See, that's where I'm.
Really do,
David. Like, that's where I'm at, man.
Look,
Ohio State's just starting to.
I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie way too many times, right? Like, I've seen them just walk. Like, this is supposed to be the top matchup of the week, and the Buckeyes just come out and they're like, "Hey, we beat you by 30. Congrats, go home." Like, I've seen it.
If Kyle McCord shows up in this football game, I'm telling you, like, Ohio State can get going.
Egbuka, is he healthy?
Quick.
Is Egbuka playing? He didn't play last week.
I don't know.
I don't see a world he's not.
He was out, and I saw him when he was out last week. I was thinking, because you took him, right? You took him
I took him -19.
Still hit. The reason I'm iffy on the over-under is because, say what you will about Iowa, they still have a good defense, and Penn State beat them 31-0, right? So I'm wondering, can Penn State score some points in this game? I know the Buckeyes are going to score. I just don't see this playing out the way it did against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Could.
Their team total's 20.5.
Is that what Penn State says? 20.5?
20.5.
Okay.
I think Ohio State's team total's 25.
Yeah, I think we're in for a good football game. I hope so.
Okay, I like the Ohio State bet. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. I'm surprised you didn't. Whoever James Madison's playing.
Oh, no, yeah.
The wagon.
We know it's a midweek. It's a Friday
Marshall.
game. Yeah, it's a Friday game.
Yeah, 3.5. Take them.
You want to talk about bets that, like, I don't lose sleep over? James Madison, whatever it is. Like, it's to the point where typically, y'all know how we operate. I'm buying it down to 2.5. This 3.5.
100%.
In this one, though, I don't know. I mean, I might as well, I guess, get it down to 2.5 at the 3.5 right now. But James Madison is an absolute wagon.
I love it.
I'm telling, and it's so sad that they can't win the Sun Belt.
Another one I like, to be honest, Ole Miss -6.5.
Against Auburn?
Against Auburn.
You just fading Auburn the rest of the
rest of the year, I'm fading Auburn. For the rest of the year. Ole Miss is going to come.
Is that one in Oxford?
No, it's in Auburn.
No, it's in Auburn.
Oh.
Ole Miss is going to be able to come in and score some points. And, I don't know if Auburn can score more than 14 points. Even against the Ole Miss defense. I don't know who's going to play. Is it going to be Peyton Thorne? Is it going to be Robbie Ashford? Yeah. I like Ole Miss. I like UNC -23.5 against Virginia at home.
I like
Virginia's not a good football team.
North Carolina's playing good.
Is Riley Leonard playing for Duke?
Yeah.
Is he playing this week against Florida State? If not, I'd like Florida State to cover. And of course, Cone, I'm rolling with Michigan minus 24.5 against Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State's, if you watch that Rutgers game, not great. It's not great. And Michigan right now, Michigan's just one of those teams this year is like, they just let teams score on them in like the first possession just to see what it feels
They're playing with their food.
Just to see what it
like
feels
a cat with a
and then
mouth.
they just mop people.
Well, here's what I said about Michigan. Here's what Michigan is. Michigan is that tsunami that's coming, and you can see it far on the ocean. You may be able to run around on shore as that thing's coming. You may have a little bit of fun. Hell, you may be surprised that the water's out that far, and you can walk out further on the shore than you've ever walked. But guess what? When that sucker hits the beach, there's no stopping it, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done before that. You are about to get drowned. That's just who Michigan is.
A lot of bad blood. A lot of bad blood this week.
I'm going to say this too. Why would I not take Missouri at home over South Carolina?
What's
at
it
minus
at?
7.5. Get it down to 6.5. Why would I not take Missouri at home?
I like that. I like the over too. It's 59 right now.
59? Oh, yeah, smash you.
Over.
Smash you over. I don't think that's a bad bet, to be honest. You just don't know, like, God, I don't like the 7.5 number. I like the 6.5 number. If you're going to buy it down for sure. You say, can South Carolina score enough?
Against Missouri. I know the pass defense
so.
for Missouri ain't great, but South Carolina's so bad up front. They're so
I mean, they've been that bad up front, and they're still scoring.
I know Missouri can score 45.
On the Riley Leonard with the Duke game, did you hear that he might not play?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been out with an high ankle sprain.
Did you hear they might play?
No, I haven't heard either way or the other.
I would wait.
Obviously, it's one of the games you want to wait out. And another one I like, I mean, Oklahoma minus 18.5 against UCF. I mean, is Plumlee, or is whatever his name back, quarterback for UCF?
I need to check it out. But I mean, look, they've been, UCF's got a couple witches at quarterback. But again, I think this is one of those games where Oklahoma wins, but they give up some points. Like, this just feels like one of those games to me.
I like Wisconsin minus 2.5. I've been disappointed with the way Wisconsin's been playing football, but I've been more disappointed with Illinois. So minus 2.5 Wisconsin. For anybody out there trusting the signs, I put down Utah plus 6.5 as one of the bets that I liked. But when I was typing it out, I hit USC instead of spelling out Utah.
Yeah, you got to go with USC.
There's some Freudian action going on there. So I don't. For anyone who's trusting signs.
Also, another one, like I said earlier, I like Bama minus 9 at home. I like that number. I like 9. You win 24-14, 27-17, you cover it. Like I said, I think they end up winning, like I said, 31-17, 34-16, somewhere around there.
A really cool action game this weekend. We get Toledo and Miami of Ohio, which I think is going to be a really good football game. The over-under on that number right now is 50. You like the over?
Toledo can get really, really hot. I like Ohio. I believe Little Gabbert's there at quarterback. If I was going to take it, and I'm going to dive into that game more as it gets closer, but right now, just off the hoof, what is Toledo, like a 1.5 point favorite?
I think it was 1.5.
I would take Toledo money line.
Money line?
That's what I would take, probably.
It is 1.5 over under 49.5.
A couple more. The Army LSU. LSU's a 30-point favorite over Army. LSU's defense, I feel like, is going to struggle with this triple option. Not that LSU isn't going to win, and God knows how many they're going to score, but Army running that style limits possessions. Do we think LSU, coming off this Auburn game, looking who they have down the road, do we like Army plus 30 here?
Plus 30?
That's a lot of points.
I know. So you're buying it up. It's at 29.5.
I've got it right now.
You got it at 30.5? Okay.
At 30, not 30.5. I got it at 30.
God, man, they score so quick. LSU scores so quick. Maybe a backdoor cover. Maybe.
It's just, if LSU gets, let's say, I think the average possession of the game against Army is like 10, somewhere around there, 8 to 10. If LSU scores 5 out of those 8. It's 35. You would think Army would score at least a couple times. Like, could this be a 42-17?
Okay. Maybe.
Well, when you make the Robert De Niro face like that, yeah. Sure.
We'll see. McGillum. But Clemson, Miami, last one I'm looking at. Clemson, Miami.
Don't touch it.
Tyler Van Dyke, hurt, ankle.
Really?
Is he out?
Don't know if he's out, but Ginger. I'm talking about red hair and freckles.
Gingerly.
He's by Gingerly way.
Oregon 18.5 against Washington State. Feels like a lot.
I have no idea what's going to happen to that. But Washington State is like falling off a cliff here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, hey, trust the momentum. Like when you see someone on a downward spiral, trust that. Or is it like, oh no, wait, those were anomalies. Cam Ward is still one of the best in the country. I don't know.
I just wish I could bet on James Madison 7 times.
Well,
maybe I should just ladder it all the way up to like a touchdown.
Yeah.
All my bets are just James Madison -1, James Madison -2. We'll see. We'll be fine. But we got 1 minute until we get to calls quickly, Booster Club.
Okay, let's go to Sir Heartbroken Hog. He says, Ole Miss is undisciplined like their coach. I think it was a good shot. They just rolled their helmets out there. Stop trying to come out here and give me hope.
Yeah. No hope to be had here in the Auburn Well.
It's amazing. You can say that about Lane Kiffin. You can say he's undisciplined. You can say mean things about him. No one really cares. Do something like that say something like that against Deion Sanders or something. You started a war.
Well, I feel like Lane's so like on social media, like, hey, here's my dog eating ice cream. You know, just stuff like that. He's he's him and like that man baby. What's his name?
Kyle Schwarber?
No. No, what's his name? Hezbollah?
Hezbollah? Like the little
the man
kid?
baby.
Yeah.
Andy Milonakis' brother.
Lane's like Vector from Despicable Me to me. Just like kind of goofy, running around, then all of a sudden, bam, we scored 55 on you.
Yeah.
I'm still really, really smart at offense.
He's like one of those baby geniuses. You know, those babies that are running around in geniuses?
Yeah.
That's wasn't bad.
One team we didn't talk about got brought up, Air Force, averaging 37 points a game.
Air Force Navy, I don't know.
That's
man.
I was toying with the over at 37.
It's on the road, though. Like, it's just Navy. Like, they just know each other. They know too many things about the triple option.
That's true.
Like, they just know too much.
Let's go to Aiden. He says, death, taxes, and Iowa hitting the under, baby.
Got to. 32. How low can you go? That's the question. How low can you go? 32.5 sounds like a lot of points to me, Coach. Sounds like a lot of points. All right, we'll make sure and get to donations at the end. Let's go and get to calls.
First one up, David, the Smoking Gator down in Tampa. Hey, set the tone here. What's going on?
Good morning, guys. Let's talk about Graham Money Mertz.
Hey.
Talk about it.
Graham Money.
Talk about him.
Imagine, talk about filing away things I thought I'd never hear. Especially after, he didn't play bad against Utah, honestly.
Oh, yeah. So I want to know, reasonably speaking, has anybody been more wrong about a college football player than they were about Graham Mertz? Because everybody and their mothers, this guy was going to suck. It was a foregone conclusion. There was absolutely zero consideration that this guy was going to be even decent. Nope, he was going to suck. He was going to be the worst quarterback in the SEC. Florida got laughed at for grabbing him. And, well, not only have people been wrong about Graham Mertz, they have been completely off the mark. And not only is he not the worst quarterback in the SEC, he's actually been one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. And then last thing that I will add here is, say whatever you will about Billy. There are legit criticisms about Billy, but with the way that Graham Mertz has been performing so far this season, guys, I do not want to hear anybody ever doubt Billy's ability to evaluate talent ever again.
Well, before the year, we multiple times, and it's bookmark on social, talked about Florida fans need to be patient with Billy Napier, when he's catching grenades from all these people. Now, I'll say this, David. Outside of you just being a Florida fan and having orange and blue tinted glasses and hoping for the best, what would give anybody any hope that Graham Mertz would come in and do this? Not that Graham Mertz won't come in and not be just an absolute catastrophe, but he gave nobody any reason to believe that he'd be able to come in and put up the numbers he has, have a 76% completion percentage, average 8.5 yards per pass, have 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and not only with what we saw at Wisconsin, but if you look at Billy Napier and the type of system he runs, typically he has quarterbacks that run that pistol zone read, things like that can run, right? Graham Mertz is not that guy. So I understand the victory lap by Florida fans, I guess, just from seeing it through orange and blue tinted glasses. But I tend to see Graham Mertz as more of a great underdog story than, oh, people were just wrong about him and they should have seen this all along, because nothing gave anybody any inclination that Graham Mertz was going to be even remotely close to this. I think it's just one of the biggest surprises.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think one thing you could point to answer your question, Jake, is that if you look at Graham Mertz, he was one of the best high school quarterback recruits in the country. It wasn't like he was some unknown 2 or 3 star. He was I don't think he was a 5-star if I remember correctly. I think he was a very high 4-star coming out of high school. And I think you could see like, okay, well, this guy was a very high quarterback recruit, and maybe all he needs is a change of scenery. And I think what happened was, I think Billy saw, okay, this guy was one of the top quarterback recruits in the country, and maybe I can help bring that back. Now, granted, there are definitely some quarterbacks out there who are top recruits in the country that just never pan out. JT Daniels probably being the best example of that. But I think, like I said, I think what it boils down to is just knowing that Graham Mertz was one of the top recruits in the country, and just kind of getting that more out of him, if that makes any sense.
No, I can see that. I think we've seen good players that are rated high do well and players that are rated high do bad, and vice versa. I think what happened was that Anthony Richardson went super high in the draft and left, and then the Jack Miller guy, I think I'm getting his last name right, didn't pan out the way that Billy thought he was going to last year, watching them, including the game against Oregon State. So he went out and grabbed what the market could bear, and I want to give him full credit for Graham Mertz's development. But I do think there's a little bit of luck involved, like there's involved in everything.
And I will say this. If you're Billy Napier in Florida, you're about to find out. We can gas up a coaching job. Well, you got Georgia this week. All right, you got Arkansas. Then you go to the road at LSU, go to the road at Missouri, then you have FSU. So
you skate through that even?
Look, you beat a Utah team with no Cam Rising. You beat and I know you can only play who you can play. You beat a Tennessee, who's an underwhelming football team, in my opinion, with Joe Milton. You lost to a Kentucky team who I don't think is that great. All right, then you beat a South Carolina team on the road with a high school offensive line.
Did you say they beat Utah?
No, they lost to Utah.
Yeah,
lost to Utah, and you got lost to Utah without Cam Rising. You beat an okay Tennessee team, lost to a mediocre Kentucky team, in my opinion, and you beat a South Carolina team on the road who's not that good. So you're getting to the meat of your schedule. I want you to call back. If y'all lose, well, you're only going to be favored maybe in the Arkansas game for the rest of the season.
They'll be favored Arkansas, I think.
But even in the Kentucky loss, 33-14, Florida fans were writing me, see, I told you about Graham Mertz. We should have seen this all along. I was like, man, he went 25 of 30, 245 through the air.
Look at the Utah game they lost. He was all they had. They ran for like 13
That's where
yards.
I switched over. I watched him play a lot at Wisconsin. I didn't think he was going to be great at Florida. We talked about it in the offseason. That's what I use my eyes when I'm seeing the kid play against Utah, and even though they lost the game, I was like, man, Graham Mertz played pretty good.
He looked better
He
than I
didn't lose
thought.
that game for them.
For sure.
So either way, meat of the schedule coming up. Let's see what happens. But David, we appreciate you
Thanks,
calling,
buddy.
man.
David,
all right, let's go to Jessup in South Carolina. Jessup, you have anything to say about the Tennessee game this weekend?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Jessup,
Good.
what's up,
Jessup?
buddy?
All right. So, Jake, after a little more reflection, after talking on Twitter, I think you're more 75% right than 100% right.
Okay, I'll take
doing
that.
A little bit more reflection. The play calling for Tennessee this year is nothing like it's been the last 2 years.
And why do you think that
they're
is,
not
Jessup?
fit-
Why do you think that is?
Well, they're not setting up the deep ball like they did with Hendon. With both, the running game's obviously one of the best in the country, but they're not spitting it out to the outside, sideline to sideline, as much as they were last year.
Well, I
And
think
you
that's
can't
for a
tell me
couple
Joe Milton
reasons.
Can't hit the guy behind the line of scrimmage.
No. Here's why. And I think Brew McCoy getting hurt has only exacerbated that. Not that it's totally different, but I think one of the most underrated parts about Tennessee the last couple years, and especially last year with Hendon Hooker, is that those guys could block on the outside. your wide receiver blocking was excellent. That's a point that not enough people make in college football, especially when you run this style of system. But I think, and look, a lot of the times the play call is similar, but you're reading the numbers in the box when you're going fast like that, and that kind of dictates what the play is. But I've watched Tennessee almost pretty much every game. In fact, every game outside of, the Austin Peay one was so ugly. I turned that off after a while. There were some other big games that came on. But I am watching Tennessee. They realize, and Josh Heupel realizes, their best trick is running the ball. That is who they are. Yep. They got 3 backs, a quarterback that can run. I have watched Joe Milton overthrow guys open in the deep ball, even before Brew McCoy got hurt.
Receivers drop balls. That are
you have. So if you're calling plays,
which did not happen last year.
Exactly. So when you're calling plays and you say, hey, our receivers don't block as well on the outside, even though the numbers may dictate to spit it out there, we'll spit out there every now and then, but not as much. Our receivers are dropping balls down the field. Our quarterback, I don't think, Jessup, we're going to argue that Hendon Hooker is more accurate than Joe Milton everywhere, not only just down the field. Yeah, and a quarterback that's not as accurate.
The golf cart was wide open.
It was wide open. And that's a hell of a throw. It's like 90 yards. I get it. But all those things together, I wouldn't be calling as many pass plays or trying to set up as many things down the field as I had with Hendon Hooker either. So I think it's a combination of all of those things.
So my biggest concern for this game really isn't offense for Tennessee. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. My biggest worry is Jalen Milroe's escapability. This feels eerily similar to the Ole Miss game from 2 years ago where Corral ran for like 250 yards, but not on quarterback designed run, but because our defensive line gets upfield so fast, and all he's got to do is make one guy miss.
Well, Jessup, and we've talked.
That's my biggest worry in this game.
And we've talked about that a lot on the show. I think Jalen Milroe right now, is this the game where finally he does do that, or the coaching staff says, hey, you need to recognize man, and the first read's not there, take off, or if you got an open lane, take off. I don't know how much they're trying to protect him. I know you always try and protect your quarterback health-wise, but you don't want to cut off one of the heads of the Hydra. But I'm sitting there watching the Arkansas game and went back and watched some tape of some other games, and it seems to me like Jalen Milroe is literally sitting in that pocket trying to prove everybody wrong. Hey, I can get through all my reads and make the right decision. If he does that against Tennessee, he will not run successfully. It'll keep y'all in the game. But I just wonder, just like you do, and just like David's been bringing up, at what point does the switch flip? Like, at what point is it, wait a minute, I'm Jalen Milroe, I'm a dual threat quarterback, I'm one of the best athletes out in the field, I can run for 8 yards and slide and get a first down, I can run for 30 yards and run out of bounds without getting hit. If that happens, I would be worried about that, Jessup. But after watching the game against Arkansas, I feel like he's trying to prove a point. That Jalen Milroe's trying to say, I'm a pocket passer.
I would say the exact same thing for Joe Milton. If Joe Milton would just escape the pocket a little bit more and get more defenders flooding to him because he's a tough guy to tackle, I think that opens up a little bit more for him.
He's going to have to this game.
He's trying to stay in the pocket, and they refuse to run more quarterback power, which is what they did a lot with Hendon Hooker too. I understand you're wanting to protect Milton. You got a freshman behind him, but if what Heupel says is true, that he trusts the freshman, that if he has to come in, he can play well. Run some more quarterback power. No. Bring Joe Milton into the run.
Joe Milton should be a battering ram.
He's not a good runner.
Well, he's
for that big, he's not a good runner.
Well, he's not twitchy. It takes him a while to get going.
It takes him a little bit, but if you can get 4 yards on first down, or
he's a good enough runner to be effective.
Or just do it early. Bring an extra linebacker, nickel corner into the box. Well, now you have man, and then hopefully Squirrel White, Ramel Keaton, somebody can just beat their guy. And also, where's Deontay Thorsten been? I thought he was supposed to be a stud from Oregon.
Yeah,
he's been silent. I know he hadn't played a couple games, but I know he played this past week against Texas A&M. I don't even think he had a catch.
Yeah, Jessup, that's interesting. We're going to keep
appreciate it, Jessup.
On that
great call, Jessup.
We'll see, but I'll take 75% all day.
Hey, bud.
All right, let's go to Parker in Kentucky. Parker, what's up?
How's it going, guys?
What's up, man?
Just talking about the choking Cardinals. Not the kind you need the Heimlich or the one you need to get the mind out of the gutter.
The Louisville variety?
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe
And I really
that.
gassed y'all up, too.
Well, that's why I always say nothing worries me more. I was less worried about Notre Dame showing up ready to play against USC coming off a loss than Louisville. Like, I was always more worried about the team coming off a win that's got to play the next week. It's harder to get guys up after a good play and a good win than it is after a loss because, of course, you want to get back after a loss. But I watched some flashes of that game. I was going back and forth. But I felt like didn't Louisville have a lead for a little while in that game and just blew it?
They did. They went into lead 21-14 in the half, and then they literally could not score another point afterwards.
How was Plummer?
As you'd expect, extremely inconsistent. 3 interceptions, just made stupid decisions.
Well, he does deal with a lot of crap.
Like,
That's a Plummer joke.
I don't know. It's like, honestly, I think this game was just a lot of, he didn't get his people prepped. I mean, and he brought up a lot of his curse where at Purdue, he beat a lot of top teams. And after that, next game he loses. Every single one he's lost. When he's beat a top team, the game afterwards, he's always lost. He's now 0 for 7 in that situation.
You get shut out in the second half. You drop a 21 piece with Nuggies in the first, and then a 0 in the second half. I mean, goodness gracious. So you only lost one fumble.
That was against Indiana.
Yeah. Plummer threw
we
2
did the
picks.
same thing against Indiana. We scored 21 points in the first half, but luckily our defense was enough to stop them in the second half.
Hey, Pitt changed that quarterback. Okay. That looked terrible. Quarterback switch.
Yeah, now you get Duke after the bye. Still have Duke, Miami, and Kentucky.
We'll probably beat Duke. It's at home. We play terrible away. That's just something we always do. We play terrible away. Well, we'll beat We'll beat Duke at home afterwards. Like, that's the crazy thing is we'll lose to Pitt, and then we'll probably just beat Duke.
Yeah, you'll win out. You'll win out, including beating at Miami and Kentucky
this year
at home.
Has been great so far, even without anything. As a fan, it's easy to get down after that.
You want to trade?
It's more just how it happened more than the situation overall.
And you got to think this is year one.
This is year one. I'm happy overall. It's just a shame to see losing to Pitt after absolutely destroying who destroyed USC. Like, that was an amazing thing to watch.
Well, you guys big dogged them too. That's the thing about Louisville. Like, you didn't just sneak around and win. You didn't have to drop guys out of trap doors and out of hot air balloons to sneak your way around Notre Dame. You just lined up and beat them. It just, man, I'm telling you, coming off that big win, it's dangerous, man. Dangerous, Parker. We'll see though.
The nice thing is I can say Louisville's better than USC. So
y'all better than a lot of football teams.
They can beat them.
Brom will get back right. He's going to scream at enough people this week, probably including his brother. Probably gave him a noogie after the game.
I think he'll take care of. I think it's just prep. I think he'll take care of the issues. I hope.
Hey, how's y'all's? Real quick, Parker. How's y'all's recruiting going?
From what I hear, pretty well.
Okay.
I heard a lot of good things, especially at that Notre Dame game. A lot of people really love the atmosphere there. So
I'm sure a lot of people want to come play.
I don't know anybody specifically who's wanting to come, but I hear really good news out of it. So
yeah, I would think it's good.
Appreciate it, Parker. Thanks, man.
Trying to get a new quarterback.
Hell yeah.
I'm not worried about quarterback and Brom.
Thanks for calling.
Park.
All right, let's go to Jesse in Utah. Jesse, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good
morning, Jess.
Washington, huh?
No, I'm talking Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay, I always wonder, Georgia fans every year, like Michigan fans and Bama fans, man, I could land in Iran and see 3 Georgia fans walking through,
Are you worried?
Just like a fine wine, they export us all over the country.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
No, we're doing good. I wanted to talk about our remaining schedule because the whole offseason, everyone just talked about how easy the schedule was. And now we're looking at 3 ranked teams and a Florida team on the rise.
It's amazing how that goes how that changes throughout the season, right?
Yeah.
That's why I never use the term easy. I always say light.
Exactly. One more thing before you go. I was hoping to get a shout out from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He's in a 50-plus soccer group in Mexico, and his team just won their championship.
Wow.
So I'll make sure it gets to him.
What's his name?
Shout out Tito.
You said Tito?
Tito. And his team was, in English, it loosely translates to Me and 10 other guys.
Me and 10 other guys. All right, spell his name for me.
Jake's favorite weekend.
Spell his name for me. Shut up, Blaine.
Tito.
Tito. Good one. Ha, ha, ha. All right, that's fine. Yeah, play the music. Let's bring it in here. Got to give a shout out to Jesse's father-in-law.
Sorry, it's coming.
Exactly. 50 plus? Damn. Age is just a mindset. You can always kick it. Talking about kicking it, you guys are down in Mexico, kicking it to each other, you and 10 other guys. I don't know what that is in Spanish, but I'm down with it. You know, some people when they get older, they want to skydive, right? They move down to Florida, doses and mimosas, living their best life. Not Tito, though. He just says, hey, how about we go down to Mexico, all right? Get 10 other guys and go out here and win a world championship. All right, listen, was it on ESPN? No. Did I not know about it until literally your son-in-law just called in? No, I didn't. But congratulations. Because you may be 50. This may be an AARP situation, but you're always a champion, right? And I don't know what champion is in Spanish, but it probably sounds a lot like Tito. Yeah. So congrats to you and those 10 other guys. Y'all keep going. 60 pluses are ready for y'all, and they're pissed.
Love it. Appreciate it, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. All right, let's go to Aiden in Michigan. I just have to assume this is Aiden Hutchinson. What's going on, Aiden?
Michigan Tech?
Runs like Wario. I can't get out of my head.
All right. So I got a lot of words to say and not a lot of time to say it. So I'm just going to jump right into this.
The
Northern Michigan Wildcats need to get off my lawn.
About it.
First off, I think it's time for your athletic director to overturn the ban on the Michigan Tech pet band. You can claim all you want that our band, quote, takes away home field advantage, unquote. But after y'all gave up 62 points in your own dome without our band present, I think we can all say our band is not what is making you play badly. Now, maybe we should have all seen this coming. You can act tough all you want, but I know something about you. You lost by 31 points to UW Lacrosse.
Oh, Cranbrook.
School. I'm going to tell you something your head coach doesn't have the guts to. Huddle up. You suck.
Yeah.
Next up, y'all need to change your name. How can you call yourself Northern Michigan University when you aren't even the northernmost university in Michigan? Until this fall, you were all the way back in third place. You only got to move up to second because one of the two schools ahead of you died. Now, maybe you need to pick a new name until you stop being the Vanderbilt of the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic League.
Wow.
And now that it's hockey season, let's turn our attention to the ice. Let's talk natties. You have 1. We have 3. And I know you don't have as many PhD students as us, but you don't need to be an engineer to know that 1 is smaller than 3.
Yeah.
Now, what about conference championship?
That's math.
You have 5. We have 14. What about the head-to-head record? We lead that 81, 78, 13. And now that's pretty close. Maybe you can spare yourself if you at least win more often in your own barn. Nope, we hold that series record too. Now, we're better athletes than you. Our SAT scores are better than yours.
Rumor has it.
We've kicked your butts before, and we can't wait to kick them again. Northern Michigan Wildcats, get off my lawn.
Wow. Well done, Aiden. Well done. I was looking for my Michigan Tech stuff.
Right over there.
Yeah, Northern. Oh, it's over there. All right, I'm gonna wear it next time Aiden calls in. No, look, Northern Michigan. Let the pet band go. What y'all scared?
Look, man, I wasn't anticipating the Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech beef today with a lacrosse reference.
Yeah, look, that's what you get, and their SAT scores are lower.
That is true.
Thanks, Aiden.
That's a proven thing. Aiden,
appreciate it, man.
I do want to go ahead and announce our sweepstakes power slap winner. Congratulations to Bruce. That's right. All right, we're just going to say your first name. For winning Jeremy's Razor sweepstakes that gets you 4 tickets to Las Vegas to see Power Slap 5. Be sure to check your email for all the info to claim your prize. Congrats again, Bruce. And we're going to see you there. And we want pictures and friendship and memories.
Send pics.
And chat.
And friendship memories. All right, let's go to Coffee Guy, $2 donation. It's 2024, the best QB draft class in a decade.
I mean, I think you got a legitimate argument.
Yeah.
Think about how deep it is.
Yep.
I mean, it's Pacific Ocean deep. I'm going to say yes.
I don't remember one in a while to be better. Let's go to Duck Fan Dane, $2 donation. Quack, quack. Says, I trust Alabama to be consistently inconsistent.
Yes, which therefore makes them consistent in a way, but I just don't trust Tennessee to score. Like, at all. Not even inconsistently. I don't think Tennessee can put the ball in the end. Not saying they won't get field goals. I would be shocked if Tennessee scores more than one touchdown.
Let's go to Brian Hall, $10 donation. Thank you, Brian. He says, what NFL quarterback affiliated with Michigan has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson?
Jim Harbaugh.
NFL. Can't even finish the question, guys. Appreciate it.
Jim Harbaugh.
Stump to Schwab. By the way,
tryhards out here.
By the way, can I say the Howie Schwab? You remember that show, Stump to Schwab?
Yeah.
Right. So the other day we follow each other on Twitter and or whatever it's called this week. And so he tweeted out something about like a phone company like not owning up his contract. And I just tweeted back in, like, we don't talk ever at all. I just tweeted back, I was like, they'll never stump you. And all he responded back, he said, thanks, man.
All right.
That was a funny moment in my life.
I love it.
I love it.
Let's go to Jared Mitchell, $10 donation. Jared, appreciate it, brother. He says, call sign Rocket Surgeon.
Ooh.
Arkansas must make a new hire, ASAP Rocky. He says, I like Pittman. It's time for Razorback to sell Walmart stock, bringing a high-profile name. Texas and Oklahoma coming.
Who do you want?
Can't.
Jared, who do you want? And it can't be Urban. You think Urban take that job?
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. Let's go to
Mike Elko?
Ooh.
Christian Beard, $2 donation. Christian, thank you.
The man with
Says,
the beard.
keep up the great work, fellas. And let's go Rangers, baby.
Yeah, look.
Let's go
Just
Rangers.
keep banging that creed, man. Just keep Scott Stapp, big Rangers guy.
Let's go to Oakley Tiger, $5 donation. Fire-ass name. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yep.
Says, can Pitt turn this season around with Valix?
Yeah.
Valix at QB.
Well, look good against Louisville. Now, talking about turning the season around, I picked him to go 3-9. So, personally for myself, I hope not. But, you need a spark. I mean, let's look at the rest of their schedule real quick. Got it pulled up right here. At least I thought I did. Hold on. Going to do it right now, real time, live show. You've got Wake Forest on the road.
Winnable.
All right. You've got at Notre Dame. Loss. Florida State at home. Loss. Then you've got Syracuse and Boston College at home.
Both winnable.
To win both of those. Then Duke on the road. Riley Leonard will probably be healthy. So let's say best case scenario, you go 1, let's say 2, 3. Let's say 3-3. You end up at 5-7. So I know the standard's higher there for Narduzzi and Pitt, so I'm going to say no.
All right, let's go to Ethan Andrew with a $10 donation. Hitting level 23 today, boys.
Congrats.
Thank you for having the best sports show in the business. I never miss an episode. Love y'all, Ethan. Love you.
23 and me.
23 and me, man. Happy birthday, buddy. All right, let's go to Old World Skull 88, $5 donation. Good to see you back in here, man. So sorry, guys, been traveling a lot. We forgive you. Still listen every day, though.
Thank you.
And in motivational speech in my past 5 scrambles, I've came in second, third, and third.
All right, quickly,
cheating.
and then I'm getting to bed. Quickly, and then I'm getting to bed. Play the music. Scrambles in golf.
Yeah, we're not talking about eggs.
Tell me who was it again?
This is Old World Skull.
Old World Skull. Come on, dog. Second? That's the first loser. 5th in a scramble? Goodness, like the worst Waffle House in the city. Y'all got to figure it out. I don't know what you're best at. Maybe it's driving. Maybe it's chipping. Maybe it's putting. But you got to be better at everything. All right? Guess what? One guy plays fantastic in the scramble. The whole scramble plays well. I don't need a team effort. I need a better effort from you. I know you've been missing the live show, I guess, watching it a lot lately. I can forgive that. But you know what I can't forgive? You not bringing your A game, whether it's on the tee box, on the fairway, on the green, in the bunker. Live life to the fullest, Worst Skull, and you come through. I expect better results. I feel like you're the American Ryder Cup team on the road right now.
Look, artists be like me and blame whoever you're playing with.
Yeah, blame the clubs.
Yeah.
That's what I
Damn
do.
clubs.
Like,
Blame me?
I'm afraid to get fitted clubs because then I can't blame them anymore.
Yeah, or throw them.
I'd be like, yeah,
Break
or
them.
break them.
Or maybe just like it is the clubs.
Maybe it is the clubs,
You know,
though.
maybe
It could still be the
I've never played with fitted good clubs. But
I wonder how much easier it is.
it has to be.
Has to be, right?
It has to be.
Right?
It has
It's like, man, this club fits. Not O.J. Simpson style, though. All right, tonight, 3 games. I know a lot of people think I'm taking my alma mater, but don't trust it against Southern Miss. So give me Liberty or give me death. I love Liberty, minus 13.5. Buying that down a point at minus 132 at home tonight against Middle Tennessee, who has let me down more times than not. I don't mind the over bet here, but I know we're going to get to yours. And then Western Kentucky versus Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, not great against the pass. Western Kentucky, absolutely slanging that thing. And Jacksonville State goes super hurry up on offense. I just need Jacksonville State to score enough. So give me the over at 59.5. It's minus 110, 58, 48, and 1 on the year betting college football. David.
I feel better about my bet knowing we did the exact same thing. I also bought the Liberty down a point, minus 13.5, minus 132. And despite missing both Nerfies yesterday in the playoff games, I'm taking Phillies, D-backs, no runs, first inning, minus 115.
All right, 0-2 yesterday, Dave. Can you hear that sound?
Oh, you want the sound? This is going to be for both of us, actually. Oh, here it is.
There it is.
No! Please, just don't hurt me!
Shit hurts, man. Jared Everett, you're going to score the second touchdown? Great, buddy. All right, going a bunch of overs today. I refuse to bet unders when it comes to games like this. So give me MTSU versus Liberty. That over's rolling in at 56.5. It's going off at minus 110. Then give me Western Kentucky, JSU over at 59.
Come on now.
And a half, minus 110. There's nothing like just rooting for points.
Yep.
It's the base.
Baby Cone, he's taking USA, also known as South Alabama, minus 16.5. That's at minus 138. And then Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks. It is Cocktober, plus 7.5, minus 110.
Some big Penix energy from you.
Some big Penix energy. We appreciate you guys. Congrats to Bruce.
Stop.
Oh, Paul,
Come
quickly.
on. We do this every day. Duck Van Dane with a $5 donation quickly. I think this is the year after the Brock Bowers injury. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. That SEC will not have someone in the playoff this year. We'll see. Who wins Saturday, Alabama or Tennessee?
Alabama, 78%.
Bama, 77%.
Tennessee, 33%.
Yeah.
Alabama, 67%.
Okay.
Well done today, chat. If I missed your donation, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, we'll find a way to read them. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Keep sharing the show. We really appreciate it. Got a great one for you tomorrow. Make sure you catch us, whether it's live, whether it's not. We really appreciate it. And like the chances of Graham Mertz being a letdown? What? We're going.
So it's
Ooh!
that's pretty nice.
Gone.